I wish I could speak Afghani, but we will switch to English. First, I would like to welcome you in Jordan. Thank you for joining us. And also, I would like to welcome you all for joining this conference. I'm really happy and feeling privileged to be sitting in front of you today. And I would like to thank, of course, My Shadia Foundation for this opportunity. We have 30 minutes. 20 minutes it will be this talk, and then we will give the chance for you to be asking any question related to our panel or anything else. It's 30 minutes and I'm sitting in front of history with tens of questions about you, about Afghanistan, about the challenges of war and peace, and also about the daughter of a historical figure in the Afghani history. Since we are talking a lot about history, let me start with an historical question about Afghanistan. Do you think that we in the Arab world really know what Afghanistan is and what it stands for?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is great pleasure to be here. And for me, it is very important to be in front of women from my own part of the world. And of course, I thank May for inviting me here. She's well known in my country. I've always known her. And I want to tell you something before I start. I've come from Kabul just recently. 3 days ago I came. And at least 3 girls, I found out that they were named Shirin. It is important that we always remember that women, when they are in front line, they are paid expensively, and we must not let them to be forgotten. Unfortunately, about the history of women in Afghanistan, very few people know. Recently, I was just last month, I was in Doha Forum, and I found out that majority of people think that changes for women in Afghanistan has come with the Western changes which happened 20 years ago. This is not the truth. First women who went for further education outside Afghanistan was exactly 101 years ago. I'm a 68-year-old woman. When the first time I saw women being in the parliament, in the Senate, and as a member of the cabinet, I was only 8 years old. It was 60 years ago that we had women in the parliament. In Afghanistan, men and women, in 1964, they got the right to vote or be elected together. When in Switzerland, women couldn't vote. Women in Afghanistan, under an Islamic law, because of an Islamic law, could not be paid less than a man for the same job, because it is forbidden in Islam that you pay a woman less for the same job. When in France, women were demonstrating that they should get the same pay for the same job. So no, people, very few people in the world know what had happened in Afghanistan, but we will come back to it, that it's a Holocaust. Then, of course, the time had happened that women couldn't get out of the house. So
what went wrong with all this history and this narrative? What went wrong and when?
This is something that, unfortunately, in our part of the world, again, we are cursed for it, and it's war. War is the mother of most of the problems in our part of the world. We had a fantastic king, King Mohammed Zahir Shah, alayhi rahmah. He changed Afghanistan from an absolute monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. Oh, my mother. To a constitutional monarchy himself. It was not pressure from outside. He believed that this was the right thing to do. And then we had a prime minister after a few years, a prime minister whom you see his pictures with Kulthum, you know that he was not an ordinary person. A young prime minister who was educated in Al-Azhar, but also in Columbia University, New York. So the best combination of modernity and Islam, and he was doing so well, and all of a sudden a coup happened, then again another coup happened, the communist regime, which in 2 years 2 million people died. And then of course it was the Russian invasion, the Soviet invasion, and the curse started exactly at that time.
So it's war, you're saying. Let me shift from history to geography. Do you think that some nations are cursed with their geography and some bad politicians?
Bad politician, yes. It is a curse that we play a role in it. Why would we accept bad politicians? But geography, I remember once one of our commanders asked His Majesty King Zahir Shah that I wish our country was not in this difficult time. It was like Cyprus, away inside the water. And His Majesty looked at him and said, do you think Cyprus doesn't have a problem? Then you're mistaken. Yeah. It is us. It is us allowing. I have been listening to these fantastic women. One is sitting right in front of me, a minister, a female minister in a post that we can't see in our dreams, even in the Western world. A female minister of defense. This is not a joke. This is big. But if women don't go to vote, how many women go to vote? We have to take it extremely seriously. We have to work on this. That when a woman is standing in the right position, if each one of them don't go to vote for that woman or that person, then why do we complain? Yes, you say that we are half of the world, but we have to act like minority. The minorities anywhere in the world, they are much more organized than anyone else. They take voting very seriously. They take elections very seriously. If they don't, they are doomed. And this is exactly for women. We are a huge minority in the world that we have to act like one.
But you're dividing the society between the majority of men and the minority of women. You think women politicians should be women first or politicians with political goals first?
This is a very important question, and I think we need to be like a kite runner. When to release, when to pull. When is what more important? But yes, we have to be politicians. If we don't enter the political world, we cannot change fundamentally what is happening for them. It is important to be a physician. It's important to be achieving business person and all that. But if our place is empty in the political arena, it is absolutely impossible to bring fundamental changes. But in our society, not just in Afghanistan, in all these countries that we are sitting next to each other, the role of the father is fundamental. If this girl is the most clever woman on earth, if the father doesn't allow her to go and have the confidence of enter like a person, regardless of the gender, this woman cannot achieve.
Okay. Problems related to women in the front lines, is it, does Muslim women in the front line differ from any other woman in the world? And do Muslim women support other Muslim women in the country or worldwide?
No, unfortunately not. I was 1 year and plus in the peace negotiations. We were only 4 women talking with Taliban. This is not a joke. And with our men. First of all, we were representing political groups. How many of them sent a woman? And they knew that with Taliban, the most challenging conversation would be women's issue. They all sent men. Secondly, I'm not exaggerating. Every day we had at least one Zoom meeting with activist women from the Western world, from Sweden to everyone. 1 year and few months, we had only one with Indonesia and one with Pakistan. We don't support each other. Sometimes we're so absorbed in our own grievance that we forget that we have to be the sisterhood of Muslim women is extremely important, because it is extremely important that the world should know that what we are achieving is not a gift from the Western world. It exists in our religion. We must not allow wrong tradition to become more strong than our religion, and in the name of the religion imposed upon us.
In a previous session, Mrs. Dashti said that the woman issues polarize societies. It turns to societies to wit against black and white. Is it the case also in Afghanistan? And is it really an issue today, yes, the woman and women's rights? Is it a real issue, or is it's just to cover other fundamental issues?
No, it is an issue, unfortunately. Sometimes it is used to sweep things, but it is an issue, and it is a very dangerous problem, and it is a problem which prevents most of us to go forward. I just came from Afghanistan, and I went this time. I keep on going. I live between Afghanistan and Britain. Actually, I don't live anywhere. I'm always in conferences. 4 days ago, 6 days ago, I was sitting talking to the Prime Minister, to the Foreign Minister of the Taliban regarding women's issue. I made it very clear. I mean, I said that my question is yes or no. It is not a long story. University is open, girls go. Primary school is open, girls go. And then in the secondary, girls are not allowed to go. It's very difficult for me to understand the logic of it. I don't think he knew the logic of it that well. But my question was, I said, Your Excellency, my question is yes or no. Is Iqra fard or not? And he said, yes, of course it is. I said, okay. Then closing the door of this school for me to prevent me, a woman, from fulfilling my fard, and closing or the door of a mosque, or when I fast, you shove food in my mouth. What is the difference? He said, actually none. I said, well, then act upon it. So, but we have to protect the issue of women from to be seen as a Western imposition.
Yeah. And about Afghanistan, and what is it like to be in a negotiating team with the Talibanis? And you were only 4 women coming from different backgrounds. So were you on the same front in some issues, or you were representing yourself as women, or you're representing your parties or causes? And the mere idea of doing negotiations with what might be the enemy of your thought.
This is very interesting. If I said the whole day, I have millions of stories to tell you. But we made it very clear when we face the Taliban, we should not look as a woman. We should look as a woman who's representing values, representing a constitution, and representing things which is important for men and women. Then each one of us were in different committees. I was in the committee of Legal Committee and Religious Affairs, and the same one was in Human Rights and one was that. My first encounter was very tense. I have to be frank about it. There was a dinner by His Excellency, Dr. Qahtani, so our team will say hello, salam to the Taliban team. I really thought I'm going to faint. When I was entering the room, I was dizzy. I didn't know. How come? Because I didn't know what am I expecting. How would be received? How would they react? In matter of 5 minutes, in each table we were mixed. They made it like that, so we will mix. I was sitting next to my countrymen. I was sitting next to a person from Afghanistan who has a drastically different view about things with me. But they were talking, and I was shocked that they knew about my illness. They asked how I was. They asked about my daughter, how old are my grandchildren. Then I thought, they're actually Taliban, and we were comfortable. At the negotiation table, they saw that men are defending women's issue much more. And we women, we are talking about, for example, minority, the Shias in Afghanistan, the other problems in Afghanistan. So for them, it was very interesting. But the most interesting thing for them was that a woman is versed in Islamic studies much more than them. So that was a bit surprise for them.
And the discussion, was it social, legal, or religious discussion in your committee?
This was a mistake from our side, from the Republic side, that I tried very hard. I said that let's find out that what are the issues that we cannot defend in our constitution. And they kept on saying, oh, it is a political issue. Yes, it is a political issue, but the politics of Taliban is Islam. So why should we give the custody of Islam to their hand? We should also have some. Unfortunately, they didn't listen to me. But it was a hardcore politics where we were talking. We were talking about the constitution, we were talking about the flag, we were talking about many things which matter. Flag matters a lot for countries. So now we don't see our national flag there. This is an issue which is important for people in Afghanistan.
Yeah. You said the mother of all problems is war, but also this cliche image of Afghanistan women and the Afghanistan in general is also linked to war and religion and to Islam. And since sitting on a negotiation table, you put everything on the table, is revisiting the religion itself one of the core fundamental starting points for any change for Muslim women in Afghanistan and probably other Muslim countries?
This came to me long before that. When I was the spokesperson for Afghan Mujahideen fighting the Soviet Union, I was convinced that the country is invaded, a religion is being insulted, and this is my duty to be the voice for Afghan people, not just for women, for Afghan people. Then all of a sudden I saw the same people that I was representing are fighting each other over language, over Shia and Sunni, over Tajik, Uzbek, Pashtun, or Hazara. For me, it was really difficult. Although I was offered very high post in the government of the Mujahideen, I was offered ministerial post, ambassadorial post, but I boycotted. I boycotted. Instead, I went to study Islamic studies and Islamic fiqh, jurisprudence, under Dr. Zaki Badawi, who's one of the prominent Ikhwans, and also Dr. Sheikh Mana, who became the head of the office of Sheikh Tantawi. For 4 years, I just forgot about politics, and I went, and actually I was in the middle of my studies. I became 40. My classmates, like my children, they were so young. But I did it. I did it because I knew that Islam will be used for politics. And I had to know enough to defend the right of women, the status of women, and the history of women. That women were important in that society. Aisha was a prominent businesswoman. And Khadija was a prominent businesswoman, and Aisha was leading a war. The Jamal war, whether we politically believe in it, it's good or right, but it was a war, and she was the leader of a military action, and she was the leader of a political action. So this is not new. Or when Hafsa was paid for making shoes during the war, and she had more money than the government, it was entrepreneur that she used the situation of war and made money, and gave the tax that she gave actually helped.
Yeah, of course. I will give, I will open the door to questions. So whenever I see a raised hand, I will just, we need the mic. Who's in charge of the mic? So, in the meantime, okay, we're here. لو حدا بيكون مهتم بالبيبي يضل مسكر ورا.
The mic doesn't work.
واحد واحد.
الو
111. لا في بس في عطل بالصوت.
اوكي
واحد
صوتي عالي enough. Thank you for your time and sharing your experience with us. Oh, no, you don't? Thank you for
في عطل بسيستم الصوت كل الميكروفون.
Even this one doesn't work. This one doesn't work.
يلا عم okay, it worked now. So we have our first question.
Thank
Go
you
ahead.
for your time and sharing your experience with us. My name is Anu Khoudi, and I started my work experience in Canada, and I hope in the field of family protection, and I really hope that I can continue my experience here in Jordan, either in different fields or the same fields, and hopefully contribute to the development change. Despite the obvious development in the representation of women in the workplace and in leadership positions, which of course still needs further improvement, I would like to hear your opinion about equal pay. I know you mentioned that it is against the Muslim religion for men to get paid more than women for doing the same job, but a major common feature in all Arab countries is the application of the Islamic law, whether directly or indirectly. However, according to a report from the International Labour Organization, nearly half of women working in Jordan in the private sector earn 33% less than their male colleagues. So how can we bridge this gap?
Thank you, Anu.
Thank you. You're talking about today's Afghanistan. I was talking about yesterday's Afghanistan. Yeah, I meant that Afghanistan was like that, and then the war changed everything. But also we know that in most organizations, which was also started a resentment towards women, because Western, organization in Afghanistan, they were paying women 1.5, little bit, 25% more to men to recruit women. For example, when I wanted to recruit women in the Red Crescent, we couldn't pay them because they were paid so high. So these are the things which you have to live it to see that the balance is not always the same. Yes, it is true that in today's Afghanistan, women, even during the good times, the 20 years of Mr. Karzai and Mr. Ghani, there were things which were going really badly. But I told you that 101 years ago, changes for women happened, and 6 years ago, women went in the parliament, in the cabinet, and all that. But never in the history of Afghanistan, in number and quality, that we have today in Afghanistan. Millions and millions, young, alert, and achieved women exist. That's why my argument with Taliban was that this is a new Afghanistan you're facing. The same way that at the Bonn conference, when the new Afghanistan was being shaped, it was wrong that Taliban were not there. They were pushed away. Today, I told them that you will be wrong, that if you forget that women is an important part of the new Afghanistan, and they cannot push away, you cannot push them away, and they will not allow you that. They will resist it, and they are.
Lately, you were very famous for a very famous quote, "Oops, the president disappeared, for God's sake." If he was a woman president, would he disappear?
I hope not. I hope not, but this was the day. Where did you get this? This was the day that I was really, really shocked, because even after the fall of Kabul, we made a deal with the Taliban that the president will stay. Ex-President Karzai, Dr. Abdullah, Hamid, my brother, and a group of prominent politicians will come to Doha. They will sign something for a smooth transition. And then, only half an hour before that, I was on the phone with his office. Is he there? Yes, he's there. Is he fine? Yes, he's fine. He just gave a press conference to tell the nation that he's there and supported. Good, good. And then I called to say to our colleague that tell all the politicians that the airplane is ready in Doha to fish them, but it's a small airplane, don't bring too many things. You know how we are, too many people and too many luggage. They said, no, everything is fine. 15 minutes after that, I had a call. I thought they were saying that, okay, send the airplane. They said he's gone. Who's gone? The president. Oops. And then, in matter of 5 minutes, the palace was empty. In matter of 3 hours, the army disappeared. And then we had to call Taliban to come and take the
palace?
To protect the palace. No, to protect the palace from the looters. We forget how dangerous looters are. We called the Taliban
to come and take over.
Yeah. So I think if it was a woman, she wouldn't have run away.
We hope so, at least. Any other question? Please. Okay.
Most welcome. Good afternoon. My question is, to what extent are you optimistic towards changing the situation of women in Afghanistan? I mean, we read every day that there is more and more oppression on women there. So do you think that in how many years would this be changed? And what's the, you said that you had a great role about changing the situation, But do you think they will succeed one day, you and those who are similar to you?
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a very important question. I don't rely only on luck and optimism. It is a very hard work it's needed. We don't have time. We cannot wait 1 year, 2 years, or a few months. We have very little time, and we have to do it now. And that's why we have to pressure the Taliban, reason with Taliban, and talk to Taliban and say that, look, this has to happen. Unfortunately, a huge number of women, from parliamentarians, activists, ex-ministers, they have left the country. So it's only the young people, the new generation, to defend. But they will defend it. If you call me optimist, when the Soviet invasion happened, most people said, which country Soviet Union had left that they will leave Afghanistan? I had no doubt. Soviet Union doesn't exist. Afghanistan is limping, but exists.
Unfortunately, our time is over. I see lots of people who are interested to ask more questions now that it got hot. So thank you very much for your time, Madam Fatima Gailani.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Really an honor, and it's women like you who make really history go to a better path. Thank you.
Inshallah. Thank you.